we've heard the national narratives, and I honestly am not one to believe it. When I assess the 49ers, it's really just from what I see firsthand and hear firsthand from players and coaches, and also just what makes the most logical sense. So that's how I read things, and those are the tea leaves I look at, right? I don't care what Adam Schefter is saying or Ian Rappaport. That's kind of how I assess things. So
Yeah, I
I
don't think they're
feel
really plugged in on this one. Yeah.
yeah, it's like so
Yeah.
I feel a little differently from a lot of people, but we hear the national narratives. How do you feel Kyle really feels about Trey Lance?
I think Kyle isn't married to anyone. I think he gave Trey Lance a shot. I think he'll go with anyone who makes him look good. I don't think he's writing off Trey Lance the way that maybe other people in the organization are or media people are. But I think if Sam Darnold all of a sudden becomes the guy who steps forward and plays really well, Kyle will pivot. Like I don't think he's 100% married to Trey the way like Jim Harbaugh was married to Colin Kaepernick, who was a second-round pick. You would think a quarterback you spent 3 first-round picks on, like that is your guy. But I don't think Kyle ever looks at any quarterback that way. I don't think he's going to get another chance because, every quarterback gets some playing time here eventually for one reason or another. But I just don't feel like the real public support has ever been there from Kyle Shanahan. Like, it's kind of like I don't know.
Wait. Here's how I see it, and I want to get your thoughts on it because, again, this is just how I see it. It could be wrong, but to your point, that Grant, whoever makes him look good, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that's going to make Kyle Shanahan look better to me than if Trey Lance reaches his potential and justifies the trade and the draft pick of Trey Lance. Like if that doesn't happen, I know a lot of people think Brock Purdy will make up for that, but to me, that's not the case. Regardless of what happens with Brock Purdy, you still did this. You still wasted 3 first-round draft picks that could have went somewhere else, right? If you knew Brock Purdy was the man, you could have drafted him when you drafted him and still saved your 3 first-round draft picks. So it was still I don't care what happens with Brock Purdy. To me, if Kyle Shanahan wants to save face and to reach the highest potential he possibly can, because I think Trey Lance has the highest potential on the team. I think Kyle probably thinks that too, as far as like potential. Whether he reaches it or not, that's on him. But I think because he wants to look good, he wants Trey Lance to work out because otherwise that's a big black eye on his resume. Yeah.
Huge. Yeah. And you could try to get out of it by saying, well, we got Brock Purdy instead, or we got Sam Darnold instead. But like, nah, you gave up the world for this guy and you never had a plan for him. You got him hurt. And you did the same thing with RG3 10 years ago. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely in his interest for him to work out. But I also feel like I don't feel a bunch of confidence from Kyle. I feel like what I get from Kyle is like, we gave it a shot, but we don't really have the resource. Like, we don't really have the coaches here, and the coaches we sent him to in the offseason didn't really get some results, and he's starting to get some results now, but it's a little late. And we got this team, and it's like the timelines are off, but I still like him, and I don't want to get rid of him, but it just doesn't feel like there's a lot of confidence there from Kyle for whatever reason.
So my take on that, I guess, is that I don't think that's Kyle is, right? I think if he's like the kind of dad, like if you put him in a dad perspective, he's that dad that never tells his kid he's proud of him, right? That's Kyle Shanahan. That's how I look at him, and I feel like he's not gonna like. I know Larry likes to say that if he really liked Trey Lance, he would come out and tell everybody. But when has he ever done that? I don't think that's his style. So to me, it's not about what he doesn't say. I don't worry about what he doesn't say. It's about when he does say things. He does say good things about Trey Lance, but he's not going to go out of his way. There's no competitive advantage for Kyle Shanahan to go out of his way and compliment Trey Lance. So that part doesn't bother me.
Also, couldn't it be? Well, the thing about it is last year he kind of tried. Last year they jettisoned Jimmy after an NFC Championship performance, got rid of him, and a lot of people were saying, well, Jimmy played so well, you got to bring him back, right? And Kyle was like, well, no. And that's how much we like Trey Lance. He kept trying to say stuff like, look, we're getting rid of Jimmy. That shows how much we like Trey. We're giving him the job. Then he went to the vets on the team and was like, look, you got to support Trey. And I think from Kyle's perspective, maybe privately, he feels like, that didn't work. It didn't do Trey any favors. It didn't win him any, votes in the locker room. Maybe I'll try the opposite this year. Instead of just giving him the job, I'll make it seem like I'm completely ambivalent about him. He's just another guy in the quarterback room. I don't have to share my real thoughts publicly. And if Brock's not ready and Trey has to start week 1 privately, I'm very confident about that. But I tried to say that last year and it backfired, so I won't say it this year.
Yeah. That's how I feel. And I think the other thing too is like, what could have possibly went wrong from the last time that Kyle Shanahan made Trey Lance a starter. He had the Chicago game. I think Kyle Shanahan looks at those games not like a lot of Purdy stands or 49er fans. Like there's context involved. Kyle Shanahan watches the film. He understands what went on in that game. And then he was hurt, right? So the last time Kyle Shanahan saw him play real football, he named him the starter. What could possibly gone wrong outside of Brock Purdy coming in? I mean, that's the thing, right? Like Brock Purdy came in and he played well and he kind of forced Kyle Shanahan's hand, but I don't see what could have soured Kyle Shanahan on Trey Lance since he was the starter for the 49ers last year. Like, am I missing something?
Is he souring on Trey Lance, or is he losing confidence in his ability to develop him in time to win a Super Bowl with this team? I mean, the idea was for Trey Lance to be ready and roaring right now, year 3, like Jalen Hurts last year, but he's not. Why? Because he got hurt like multiple times playing running back.
Yeah,
it sucks.
Really and he also didn't have opportunity to start him in his first year. Trade Jimmy, get him out of here. He blew that opportunity.